Hi Libra, and welcome to your horoscope for 2024. Thank you for joining me. This is going to be really interesting because we have two eclipses happening in 2024, which happen in your sign of Libra. So I'm really interested to see how that affects you specifically. But what I want to mention first is that this is a major year. We have a huge shift in consciousness. It really is the end of an era. Pluto, the planet of transformation and change, it's the phoenix rising from the ashes, death and rebirth. So it's really night and day, something shifting completely. That leaves the sign of Capricorn, which is an earth sign to do with work and setting goals and being productive. And it moves into the air sign Aquarius, which is much more aligned with being a humanitarian, coming up with new ideas, inventions, and ultimately things which are of service to humanity. So this shift happens on the 21st of January. Pluto ingresses into Aquarius. So just to give you some context here, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. If you think back to what was happening in 2008, we had the credit crunch. I was on the front line. I actually worked in a bank during that, and people's mortgages and their savings imploded. Everyone was investing in Iceland, and it was really the structure of our life is coming undone. And what do we do next? So Pluto is an outer planet. When that changes sign, it is a really significant thing because one, it moves very slowly. If you draw up your birth chart and you put the transits around it and you watch how Pluto moves, it's so slow that it only ever touches 3 or 4 of the houses in your chart, and you've got 12 of them. Jupiter goes around the whole thing in 1 year. So Pluto never even makes that. So when it changes sign, of course, it's going to have a huge impact on society and on humanity as a whole. Aquarius is interested in ideas. It's not interested in institutions, rules, regulations. It's interested in freedom, revolution, radical new ideas, innovations. It also rules, Aquarius that is, it rules astrology and it rules technology. So expect major advances in that area. And it's idealism over control. So this is going to be, I feel, a very positive shift. It lasts until 2044. So you can see that the next 20 or so years are going to be very different to what we've experienced. So this is going to be a significant chapter in all of our lives. And it stays in Aquarius for the most part for the next 20 years. It retrogrades once. So if you think about it, Pluto moves so slowly, it makes sense that it's going to have one final kind of foray into Capricorn. It's going to retrograde back into Capricorn on the 2nd of September, and it stays there until the 19th of November, which for Pluto is quick. But then it's in Aquarius until 2044, and it's really about this completely different approach to life and what we value and what's supported and what isn't. You know, if you think about the last 3 years, how institutions and governments have imposed themselves into the life of your everyday individual, and how we've all had to comply and follow the rules and operate within these guidelines, it really signifies the end of all of that. So for you guys, Libra, Pluto has been in your 4th house of your roots and your family and what makes you feel at home. And that may have felt like a lot of work. It may have felt like, where's the joy in this? Why am I only looking at the productivity and the security? It goes into your 5th house of what you love. So you guys, Libra, you're really going to appreciate this because it's a completely different kind of set of rules that applies to this now. So rather than I'm working towards, having all of the things that I'm interested in and that I love and that I adore, and I'm plodding away at this steadily and I'm doing my best, this is like, okay, enough with the hard work. Let's innovate. Let's do things differently. Let's check out the other point of view. Let's see if we can do things differently. And with it being in the 5th house of what you love, you'll notice that one, your interests are going to change drastically in 2024. I'm suddenly into bricklaying. I was always into flowers. What's happening? It will also mean that the actual relationships you have with people you love are much more open. Well, not open as in an open relationship, but as in, I don't need to work on this so much. If this works, I can be in the moment, I can enjoy it, we can share ideas, but there's no sense of, I need to really put so much of an effort into this, as in this is a job. So that is a really positive shift. Also, and tellingly, I think on the 1st of January, so the first day of this new year, we have Mercury, the communication planet, going direct. And that is significant because Mercury represents your ideas, the way you communicate, and your perspective on the world. And with that immediately going forward, there's less room for misunderstanding, there's better communication. And also, we only have 3 retrogrades of Mercury in 2024. In any year, you can have 3 or 4 retrogrades. So the fact that we have only 3 means that the pace is going to be much quicker. Your ruler, Venus, doesn't go retrograde at all in 2024, and that's like, it ought to be, hopefully, music to your ears, because it says it's okay for you to be yourself, to move forward, to pursue the things that you want. There's no reason to be cautious and to question your own perception of things. When Venus does go retrograde, I always mention that it's not the best time to start a new business or a new relationship because your perspective is altered. You're able to look at things differently. And then when the planet goes direct, you're like, what was I thinking? So with it going direct, your focus and your areas of interest are going to be crystal clear and you can pursue them consistently without any breaks. And then also Mars, the planet of drive and ambition and fire and heat and power, that only goes retrograde at the very end of the year, on the 6th of December, and it stays in retrograde until the 23rd of February 2025. So energy and you being able to get things done is not going to be a problem. So I want to look at some of the specific things that are happening here for you in 2024. The first thing is that on the 27th of January, Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and the unexpected and the chaotic, and also the planet that rules Aquarius, the sign that Pluto has now gone into, that goes direct, and it's been in retrograde since the 28th of August 2023. So the way I always interpret this is if a planet is in retrograde, the effects are felt internally, and when it's direct, you notice those things in the outside world. And Uranus goes direct in Taurus, in your 8th house of institutions and groups of people. So what you may find is that a group you belong to, and that's been really solid and a solid presence in your life, and you're not even questioning it, it's almost become part of the furniture, you may notice that there's some major upheaval in that community. We also have Jupiter, the lucky planet, at 6 degrees in Taurus, in that 8th house at the beginning of the year. And if that kind of thing happens, so let's say you're part of some sort of club, like that you've been part of for 10 years, and you haven't really thought of it, the thing about something becoming part of the furniture, the implication is that it's more of a habit rather than something that makes you feel alive in the moment. So if you notice that at the beginning of the next year, something like that exits your life and it just kind of disappears out of your everyday experience, then the key here is not to try and maintain that and try and say, I'm going to dig my claws in and make sure this survives and this continues to be. The message here via the planets is that that group or that organization kind of leaving your everyday experience is an opportunity for you to find something that is more aligned with where you are now and to find a new sense of connection and to grow in a different area. The first of the eclipses happens on the 25th of March, and it's a lunar eclipse in your sign of Libra, and that happens in your 1st house of self. So the lunar eclipse is going to kind of cast its shadow on the moon so that you get to reevaluate your feelings, and the way this is going to manifest is you're going to question what you bring into a relationship and what you get out of it. And whether those things are balanced, whether your relationships are what they're meant to be, whether they serve you and the other person, or whether it's something you've graduated from, they've graduated, or both of you. What opposes that moon in Libra is a lot of energy in Aries in your 7th house of relationships. And Aries is a fire sign. It's focused on the self, overcoming obstacles. So it's a similar theme to what's happening in your 8th house of institutions. You reevaluate your relationships and say, is this something I should continue with, especially if it's something that is mainly there for the convenience of it. And I don't want to sound callous or harsh here, but I think we all have the potential to stay in situations for longer than they serve us. And for you, Libra, I would say that you're someone who's very considerate to begin with. And I think you're going to be more susceptible to overstaying situations like those, even when they've stopped serving either of you long ago. So this is an opportunity in March for you to say, actually, am I focused on living in the moment? Can I connect with, it doesn't have to be necessarily a person, it could also be a place or an area of study or an activity. Is there something new that I could look into that would give me that sense of I'm fired up, I'm living in the moment, I'm living in the now? And again, the message is the fact that this is eclipsed is take that moment of shadow, of darkness to say, I can make this decision for myself and it's okay for me to move on. I am not beholden to another place or another person. Just because I was friends with them at one point doesn't mean I have to be friends with them in 40 years. And I am aware that friendships and relationships take work. And if every time you became dissatisfied, you said, oh, well, off to the next thing, then you'd end up with a very small circle at the end of it. But on the flip side of that, it can happen that you are in a situation which doesn't work for anybody, and someone's going to have to make the first move and say, enough of this, we both deserve better. So it's not the most enjoyable moment or experience, but it's one that allows you to then find something more suitable in future. And by future, I mean within this year. On the 8th of April, we have a solar eclipse in Aries, and that happens in your 7th house of relationships. So again, it's an extension of what happened the week or 2 weeks before. And you're really saying now, I owe it to myself to engage with things that are meaningful to me. And even if it seems unlikely or impossible, it is down to me to overcome these obstacles to get what I want. No one else is going to give it to me. If this is something I care about, whether it's a relationship or a new type of expertise that I'm going to study, or I want to move house, I want to live in a different country, then the only person who can make that happen is me, myself, I. And it's okay for me to do that, and I have the confidence to do that. So you feel this sense of graduation, as in, I've ho-hummed with this in the past, and now it's crunch time. I'm going to decide one way or the other. On the 2nd of May, we have Pluto, this huge outer planet, which is so responsible for this shift in global perception. That begins to retrograde until the 11th of October, and it starts its march towards Capricorn, and it reaches Capricorn again on the 2nd of September, like I mentioned earlier. So with it going into retrograde, you'll notice that the ideas of what I love, what I want to connect with, what I want to build, what I want to acquire almost, or what I want to reach, it becomes very crystal clear to you, and you're going to move heaven and earth to get there. So this is not a year, and I'm sorry if you think that I'm typecasting you, but if you ask anyone about, give me a quality of Libra, I think a lot of people always say indecision. I'm not necessarily on board with that. I think you just do more research. But this year is certainly a time where you get to this point where you say, I've done enough research, and it's time for me to go left or right, up or down. It's time to stay or go. So if you have felt stuck, if you have felt like things haven't progressed in the way you want, this is an opportunity to kind of break free and to get back on the road. On the 26th of May, we've got Jupiter, the lucky planet, going into Gemini, and that goes into your 9th house of travel, expansion, growth, education. So it's all the same theme pretty much, because Jupiter's expansion, and in the 9th house in Gemini, which is a doorway, let's slip through this new doorway into a different area. Everything is saying it's time for you to experience something new and to explore and to embrace things that are unfamiliar, because you've ripened in your current situation. There's nothing more to learn. You've got everything you needed from that. It's time to move forward and to experience something different. And because it's Jupiter, the lucky planet, it's not just different, it's likely to be much better. in the way that you will then evaluate that thing or person or area of expertise in your everyday life. So it's time to upgrade, basically. On the 29th of June, we have Saturn, the planet of structure and security. That goes retrograde in Pisces in your 6th house of daily structure, routine, your work, your physical health. We've also got Neptune, the water planet of dreams and intuition in there, in the sign that it rules Pisces, so it's very happy in that placement. And that goes retrograde on the 2nd of July. So both of those are going to express their energy to you internally. So in terms of my life as it is, I feel very at peace with it. I know this, it's familiar, and it's okay for me to be of service to myself and to go out there and to find something new. I've been in this completion mode of life for long enough. It's now time to get into start mode, into beginning mode. So you're kind of changing polarity here from things coming to their natural close to you taking charge and saying, I am going to have a true, fresh beginning in a different area. On the 1st of September, we've got Uranus, the planet of the miraculous, going retrograde again. So it's the second retrograde that you'll experience in 2024. This goes retrograde on the 1st of September until the 30th of January 2025. And that retrogrades in Taurus in your 8th house. So again, I've finally had this breakthrough that these things that I belong to, especially groups, that they have stifled me more than they have nurtured my growth. And it is safe and good and fine for me to make that ultimate decision and to let go of it and to pursue something different. So it's very much a one-trick pony here, your chart in 2024, because it's repeating the same theme again, that Libras are very likely to have outstayed a situation so that it can no longer serve them because they've leveled up to a point where it's no longer useful. And, if you extend that, and you may think I'm kind of adding to this and reading into it, but if you're kind of like this situation, I'm just going through the motions here, there's nothing really else to learn, you're going to contribute less because you're not going to be as engaged with the whole thing. And if you're showing up anyway, and if you're, let's say, working for some sort of community, you want to know that you're getting something out of it as well. On the 17th of September, and feel free to disagree with me, that's just what I'm picking up. On the 17th of September, we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces, and that takes place again in your 6th house of daily routine and structure. And I am 100% protected. I can do it by myself. And it's safe for me to explore and to try something new. Okay. So if you're a Libra who really doesn't resonate with this in the sense of I do things on the fly and I don't prepare and I don't outstay situations longer than they serve me, then look at it from the other way. Then look at possibly tying up loose ends so that you know everything that you could have gained and given in that situation has been done before you move on. But really, if you've been kind of lagging along a little bit, this is going to give you a nudge to make that shift. And then the second eclipse in your sign of Libra, on the 2nd of October, we have the solar eclipse in Libra. And again, that happens in your 1st house of self. And that really focuses on you in relationships, give and take. And it's almost like transactional, but it's mentioning that, I suppose, because it's saying that you for a while now have drawn the short straw of the transaction and you have for a while got a lot less than you've given, and it's time to be a Libra and to balance those scales. And finally, on the 9th of October, Jupiter, the lucky planet, retrogrades in your 9th. So in your 9th house in Gemini. So the desire to travel and to learn new things is going to diminish. And you're much more interested in exploring yourself, and this new confidence and laser sharp focus and vision is going to become of interest to you, and you become your own teacher. And again, with that said, then you don't really need other people to teach you if you're the most expert and you've got the most information that you're interested in. So it's the self educating the self based on experiences which may have sunk into the subconscious and you may not have been aware of. So it's about kind of diving into yourself to discover what's true for you now. That sounds kind of, what's that? What's the saying? I'm not a box, I don't have sides. You do have sides, you are a box. And it's time, it's time to look at the other side of you that you haven't looked at yet. And you become willing to do that. And that then results in a more complete understanding of yourself, so that in future you engage in relationships and situations and connections that are conducive to everybody involved. And no one kind of suffers or feels neglected or hard done by. Okay. So I hope that gives you an idea of what you'll be working with in 2024. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me, and check out some of my other videos, the monthly horoscopes for each sign of the zodiac, weekly horoscopes, daily tarot readings. Have a great time here, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best. Take care.